Welcome everybody. My name is Bertil Moritz and I'm the founder of the company Windeed. The second wave of floating technology, wind technology, is here. And what is it? It is a system design which has addressed and actually find solutions to all the challenges that are necessary to radically reduce LCOE and move into mass production. When we in 2008 entered this field, we approached the best expert in oil platform design in the world. We were part of the first wave. But we didn't know all the needs and the requirements that would come. And none knew that. And we had no idea what the world really needed. The massive amount of units deploy thousands of floaters each year. And the numbers are mind-boggling. 60% of the electricity comes from fossil fuel generation, equates to 17,000 terawatt-hour per year. That means we need to fill that with 260,000 50 megawatt floaters. If we go to net zero, we're up to 1 million of those. Now, the first wave came from oil and gas. We have imported enormous good knowledge from the oil and gas industry. However, the character of that business is completely different. You can see the numbers that are several orders of magnitudes and a short payoff time. So on one side we have plant business and the other side is serious production. So the second wave is stemming from the other extreme, and that is mass production. We are a little bit provocative and telling you that we think there are three myths that are keeping the first wave alive. If we dramatically need to reduce the LCOE, and we are not talking about 10 or 20 or 30%, we're talking about going down to 1/4 of today. We need to have a system design which has approached and addressed all the cost items in the very initial design phase. So it's not possible to reach that level only by incremental improvement. The same as a flat TV was not incrementally improved from a thick, fat TV. The second myth is standardization is the answer, but it's not. Because you can't standardize on something that isn't commercially viable, and it's far, far off. You have first to reach something that all the requirements are fulfilled, and then you can standardize on common denominators. And finally, to put a lot of money into reinforcing infrastructure is waste of time and money. Because if you invest in storage, port reinforcement, dredging, shipyards, fixed cranes on the quay, that's not needed if the design doesn't require this. To really make floating wind competitive, we have to look at all the wants, needs, requirements, And all these can be lumped into three main enablers. The first one is reduced weight of floater, and that is, of course, including the performance. And the other step is serious production. And serious production includes the entire processes from factory to final installation. And one of the biggest roadblocks we have is scarcity of resources. If you depend on shipyards, there is no way we can manufacture this. If you depend on chain, there is no way you can have chains in terms of capacity. And the important thing is to be able to avoid dependency on scarce resources, because those will always raise the prices. And there's a result you can see here. We just mentioned a couple of them. The reduction that Windeed has achieved is 50% of the average of what we see elsewhere. And you know, it's a contradiction to lower the weight and still have a slow motion. And that is achieved by extremely small waterplane area. The fast speed resulting from penetrating and massaging every single process is resulting in a 1 gigawatt farm being installed in one season. And that is, for instance, a 2-day only assembly of the floater. There are a lot of other aspects in the system. And one of the most important things might be the mooring system that is always not very well focused on. But that is half of the problem. So we think it is possible to reach the necessary level, getting down to a quarter of today's level, and even come on par with land-based wind, and we can substantiate it. Now you will see a short video of a tank test. I'd like you to look at the tower motion because it's very extreme conditions. And the acceleration of this nacelle is only 0.25 G in the 50-year conditions, which is even less than a monopile, some of the monopiles. So there are virtually no wind and hydrodynamic, there is an immunity to it. And it's important to mention that this is based on the proven components. It's nothing very exotic here. It's on the system level where we reach them. So here we have 23-meter waves and current and 40-meter second wind concurrently. So summarized, this is designed for mass production, like an IKEA bookshelf, based on proven components and avoiding limiting constraints. And the target is, which is possible, to come down on par with land-based wind. And this is, of course, verified by third parties, and the amount of extensive simulation has been enormous. We have used both Flex and 3D Float. Now the final picture. Is this Europe's last chance? Europe is a dwarf in renewable. If you look at the diagram, Mario Draghi is right. We need to invest substantially, but we don't. We don't invest in technology. The UK has pioneered the floating wind market and set a world-class benchmark. Europe has the world-leading engineering competence in floating wind. So it's possible to create a gigantic industry, 10 times bigger than the railroads, bigger than the oil and gas industry. But there is one problem. This will not happen if all the companies with deep pockets just stay technology agnostic. Thank you very much for listening.